All right, let's dive right in. Today, we are going deep into a story that is hidden in plain sight, encoded inside a single, flawed letter right at the beginning of Genesis. You're about to see how what looks like a tiny mistake is actually the key to understanding the entire spiritual blueprint of our reality. It's pretty incredible. So we start right at the beginning, Genesis 1:14. The verse says, "And God said, let there be lights." But if you look at the Hebrew word for lights, meorot, it's spelled, well, it's spelled defectively. It's missing a letter, the letter vav. Now, this isn't a typo. The mystics tell us this is a signal, a cosmic hint, that from the get-go, the great lights of the universe were created with a built-in flaw, a vulnerability literally written into the source code of creation. To really unpack this, we're going to walk through it like a six-act play. First, we'll look at this defect in the light. Then, the drama kicks in with two kings, one crown. After that, we see the tragic result, the moon's diminution. This creates a vacuum, leading to the rise of a shadow force, Lilith. We'll then get into the nitty-gritty of how we actually end up feeding these shadows. And finally, we'll arrive at the whole point of the story, our role in fixing it all, the mission of Tikkun. Okay, Act 1, a defect in the light. So before everything went sideways, you have to understand there was a blueprint for perfection, a design for a reality of pure harmony and balance. The original plan? It was beautifully simple. Two great lights. Not a big one and a little one, but two equals. In Kabbalah, this is code for the masculine principle, the sun, and the feminine principle, the moon. They were made to rule together, side by side, in perfect unity. And that brings us right back to that misspelled word. The sages call it merit shauser, the defective lights. The Sefer HaPleah, or the Book of Wonder, explains this isn't about grammar. It's a code word. It's telling us that the feminine principle, the moon, was created with a kind of inherent lack, infused from the start with what it calls bitter, cursing waters. Think of it like a vulnerability that was programmed into the system right from the beginning. Now, I know this is getting pretty abstract, so to make sense of it all, we're going to use two main analogies. The first is a cosmic engineering model. Picture reality as a massive, complex operating system. The second is a video game model. As we go, you'll see how these two ways of looking at it, one super technical, the other a bit more fun, really help map out this whole cosmic story, from a system crash all the way to the player's final quest. So if creation had this built-in vulnerability, what was the trigger? What actually set it off? That brings us to Act 2, the conflict, the big, inciting incident that kicks off the whole tragedy. The Zohar tells us about this incredibly fateful moment. The moon, when she was still equal to the sun, goes to the creator with a complaint. She asks, "Master of the universe, how can two kings use the same crown?" Now, she wasn't really asking for more power. It was more about wanting her own unique authority, her own domain. It's this moment of cosmic individualism. But the answer she got? Well, it wasn't what she was hoping for. It wasn't a comforting chat or a renegotiation. It was a sharp, direct command that took that built-in vulnerability, that miort chaser, and basically flipped the switch, activating it and shattering the original unity of creation. And this is where we get to Act 3, the moon's diminution. This is the catastrophic result of her question. We're about to see the great fall of the feminine principle, what the Kabbalists call malchut, as it's separated from its masculine source, Tiferet. And here it is, the command, straight from the writings of the great Isaac Luria. It's just shocking. Laki umaati et atzmech. Go and diminish yourself. It wasn't a punishment that was done to her. It was a command for her to do it to herself. In our cosmic engineering analogy, this is it. This is the moment the secondary processor is told to power itself down, losing sync with the main server. So let's break down how this fall actually happened. It was a four-step process. First, separation. She's cut off from her direct light source. Second, descent. She literally crashes down from the highest spiritual plane, Atzilut, all the way through the lower worlds. Third, diminution. Her huge, brilliant light shrinks down to just a single point, a nakuda. And finally, that leads to dependency. She goes from being an equal partner to a passive receiver, totally dependent on the light she now gets from the sun. And here's the absolute key. The shrinking of the moon wasn't just about losing light. It created a void
A vacuum. Think of it like a massive hole opened up in the fabric of reality. This spiritual vacuum, this space of darkness, became an opening, a security breach in the cosmic system. And as we all know, nature and the cosmos abhors a vacuum. Something was about to rush in and fill that empty space.
And the thing that rushed in to fill that void? Well, that's our fourth act, the rise of Lilith. With this new space of darkness carved into reality, the other side finally had a foothold, a place to build its own kingdom right in the shadow of holiness. The Kabbalists have a name for this shadow reality, the Sitra Achra, which literally means the other side. It's not some other universe, it's more like a parasitic dimension that mirrors our own holy system. This is the realm of the Klipot, the husks or shells. Think of them as spiritual containers that are left over after the divine light has moved on. They have a form, but they have no life force of their own. They can only survive by latching onto and draining energy from the side of holiness. And because this vacuum was created when the divine feminine was diminished, the force that rose up to fill it was its perfect dark reflection. The ancient texts call her the female of the other side, a kind of demonic feminine archetype, a queen of these empty husks, who now gets to sit on a throne in the space that the Holy Queen left behind. And the texts are very clear about who this is. The Sefer Chesed Lavraham gives her name, the wicked Lilith. She's identified as the mother of all chaotic spiritual forces. And then there's this really ominous line. It says she crouches over the children. So right away, she's established not just as some abstract idea, but as a real active threat in our world. And her MO is pretty clear. She's that classic seductive force that tempts people into sin. She's the queen of spiritual impurity, or tumah. And this is crucial. She gets her power from our misplaced creative energy. The sources say she specifically targets people who are isolated or sleeping alone. And, as we just saw, she's a major threat to the spiritually vulnerable, like newborns and young children. The video game analogy just fits perfectly here. Imagine you're playing a game and the power source for the whole level gets dimmed down to, say, 10%. The level doesn't just get dark. That low energy state actually spawns a new type of shadow enemy. These creatures love the dark, and more importantly, they feed on any little energy packets the player drops or loses along the way. That's the Sitra Achra. It's not just the passive darkness, it's an active, hungry force that literally lives on the spiritual energy we mismanage. Okay, so how does this feeding actually work? Let's get into the mechanics. In this act, we're going to look at exactly how our own actions can either starve these shadow forces or, unfortunately, make them stronger, basically pouring fuel on the fire of this broken cosmic system. What's amazing is how specific the mystics are about this. It's not just a metaphor. Take anger, for example. The sources say that when you get angry, your holy soul, your neshama, literally leaves your body, and a force from the other side enters to take its place. You become a temporary host. Or take wasted creative energy. The Holy Ari explains that every bit of it contains holy sparks, nitzotzot. When that energy is wasted, those sparks don't just disappear. They fall directly into the realm of the klipots and become literal food, sustaining these negative forces. Every one of these actions opens up a pipeline, sending our precious spiritual energy to the wrong address. So if we're living in this world where these parasitic forces are constantly looking for an opening, constantly looking for a meal, it begs a really important question. In this spiritual battle, who is the number one target? Who's the most vulnerable? And the answer, as we've already hinted, is children. Their souls are incredibly pure, but they aren't fully anchored yet. They don't have the spiritual armor that adults build up through awareness and good deeds. The mystics describe them as flickering lights in the twilight, beautiful and pure, but so easily affected by the winds from the other side. But here's where we hit this amazing paradox, because the most vulnerable in this whole equation also happen to be the most powerful. So let's flip the question. Who holds the ultimate weapon against all this darkness? The answer has been sitting right there in the Psalms the whole time. From the mouth of babes and infants, you have founded strength to silence the enemy in the avenger. The enemy in the avenger, that's code for the Sitra Achra. And the weapon that shuts them down, it comes from the mouths of little kids. So what does that mean? The Sefer Derek Etz Chimes explains the secret here. It's the concept of the untainted breath of young school children learning Torah. Because their breath is pure,
totally untainted by sin, when they speak holy words, it creates this incredibly powerful spiritual force. It's a foundational strength that doesn't just push back against the other side. It can shut it down completely. It causes the enemy to just stop. This pure, innocent spiritual energy is basically the ultimate antivirus for the cosmos.
And that brings us to our final and honestly most important act. We've seen the flaw, we've witnessed the tragedy, we've met the enemy. Now it's time to talk about the solution. It's time to talk about our purpose, the mission of repair. The entire reason for our existence is summed up in this one beautiful Hebrew word, Tikkun. It means to rectify, to repair, to restore. It's this core Kabbalistic idea that we're here not just to be good people, but to be cosmic repairmen and women, actively fixing the brokenness that happened when the moon was diminished. And this is just a mind-blowing concept. We are not just helpless bystanders watching this cosmic soap opera unfold. We are the main characters. We are the agents of repair. You could even say the whole system was designed to break, so that we, through our free will and our actions, could have the incredible honor of fixing it from the ground up. So what does this repair process actually look like? Well, first, we just have to acknowledge the flaw, to see the world for what it is, a beautiful but broken system that needs our help. Then, we work on starving the other side by cleaning up our act and cutting off their energy supply. At the same time, we go on the offensive, gathering up those fallen sparks of holiness through prayer and good deeds. This process is called birurim, and all that elevated energy gets sent back to the diminished moon, Malhuth, slowly rebuilding her. And the endgame? It's to restore total unity, to get the moon back to her original full power so she can stand face to face with the sun again as an equal partner. And this is how this massive mythological story lands right in our laps. Every single choice we make, big or small, matters. Every good deed, every prayer, every time you choose to be patient instead of angry, you are literally performing an act of cosmic engineering. You are sending a packet of healing data back to the system, helping to patch the bug, heal the diminished feminine, and restore balance to everything. And this brings our whole journey full circle. We started with a flaw, a curse hidden in a word. We saw this tragedy unfold and a terrifying shadow emerge. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? What if the darkness we see, the challenges we face, the very existence of an other side isn't a cosmic oopsie? What if it's actually an essential part of the divine plan for repair, a plan that puts us, humanity, in the driver's seat as the lead engineers of a perfected world? Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.